So you call me a woman?
I don't know if you want to be. You said you want to be Susan at the beginning of this thing.
No, no. I said you can call me Susan if it makes you happy.
Why would that make me happy?
It's a quote from a movie.
Right. We don't need to go back. Okay, you're right. You were quoting something. I didn't get the quote because I saw the movie once. All right.
You know, you saw the movie like half because it was so ridiculously stupid.
No, I finished it. I thought it was dumb, but I finished it. For you, by the way, I am a martyr.
Oh, okay.
I am a cinematic martyr because you enjoyed that movie so much.
What does martyr mean?
It means like dying, selflessly, like sacrificing yourself for a cause.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that a lot, by the way.
Okay.
Is interrupt you, be like, wait, what does that even mean?
Okay.
Because
very flattering.
I'm not a walking dictionary like you are.
I am not a walking dictionary. I barely keep up with the people I run around with. I am the person on the slow bus compared to my peers.
Did you know that Eminem, read and memorized part of the dictionary? And that's why he's so good at being the rap god.
Well, he should have studied politics a little better. If he'd read the Gulag Archipelago, he wouldn't have his political stances.
He would make a great president. I don't know what you're talking about.
What? Eminem?
Yeah. Maybe Marshall Mathers more.
Eminem.
Maybe Marshall Mathers more.
The guy that wrote Stan would be a good president.
No, not that Eminem, the new one.
There's a new Eminem?
Apparently you haven't listened to any of his new stuff.
I just know that he threw a fit when the Big M got elected and has been crying ever since.
You could say that.
What would his platform be if he were president? What would the guy who wrote Stan want as part of his presidential campaign?
That he's a rap god?
So he would want to be declared God. Is that?
No, not God. He would want to be declared the rap god.
And that's a policy. So he would go to Xi Jinping and he would be like, okay, you have to refer to me as God.
No, not God.
Okay,
not the
rap
God. Just rap god.
Little G, because I talk really fast. Faster than you. Or is that racist?
No, well.
I don't know. I can't remember what's racist anymore.
Well, racist isn't even a real thing, honestly. It's
let's get banned on YouTube. Let's do this. Racism is not a thing. Please elaborate.
Oh, now we're getting into asking what a woman is.
You did it. I don't know what women have to do with race, but please.
Well, no, it's a thing. Dang it, I'm not good with names. Not Ben Shapiro, but one of his buddies.
Matt Walsh.
He made like a movie or something.
Oh yeah, what is a woman?
What is a woman? Yeah.
What is a woman, Trevor?
So what is racism? It's along the same.
This is my okay. I'll give you a serious
along the same lines.
I'll give you a serious answer to this question. This is what my mom told me when I asked the question when I was a kid. She said, if you believe that everyone is inherently equal in the eyes of God, you are not a racist. But if you believe that people are unequal in the eyes of God, you are a racist. It is the inherent value of a human being in the eyes of their creator that defines whether or not somebody is a racist. If you believe the Almighty would view somebody else as lesser, then you are a racist. If you believe that the Almighty sees everybody as equal, as in he loves everybody equally, then you're not a racist.
So where did it start?
Where did racism start?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the modern iteration, I mean, there's always been like tribalism with like ancient cultures and stuff. You had to hate the other guy so you can kill him. But the modern iteration of it started with Darwinism.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I was going to go with it.
Now, it
It was
wasn't Charles Darwinism specific. It was really evolution. This is the thing. Like, I
evolution.
wish. Well, it's an interesting
Yeah.
question because I was talking to John from the Discovery Institute, my boss, and I asked him. There was a because when you read um is it Franklin, it's the Lincoln Douglas debates. Sorry, that was
Mhm.
embarrassing. The Lincoln Douglas debates. There's references. They call Abraham Lincoln because the ape man, and it wasn't because he was ugly, it was because he was hanging around with African Americans. And
The original Sasquatch.
yeah, and so this idea, and anytime you see some of that Southern propaganda where there's monkeys all over the page or whatever, that was a shorthand for African Americans. And
Yeah.
so that racism, that concept of African Americans coming from monkeys, that preceded evolution, or at least Darwinism. So I asked him where that came from, and I couldn't get an answer. He didn't seem to know. I didn't know. There was some kind of proto evolution that existed before Darwinism, but I can't find where that started, or I have been as of yet unable to find where that started.
Well, it got washed out by the flood.
I'm sorry?
It got washed out by the flood
What
because
got
it was a
washed out
bunch
by the flood?
what you're looking for.
Oh, the answer to racism?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're going spiritual with it.
But it doesn't have to be spiritual.
Well, I mean,
The
it's okay
flood
if
was
you do. I'm just, I'm trying to find the historical idea, like where the concept came from. Who was the first person that associated African Americans with monkeys? I mean, I guess you could say Islam, but why would that affect the West? I don't know. I would like to know the answer to that question. I'm genuinely ignorant, and I haven't done intense research to find it, but I have done some research and haven't really come up with anything.
found anything.
Yeah, I haven't found anything as to where it actually comes from.
Well, you're asking the wrong person because I don't do research.
Well, it's interesting because this is the thing. It had to come sometime in the 1800s because that kind of verbiage for African Americans, it didn't exist in the first-hand sources of the founding. So as late as 1789, that wasn't a thing. So sometime between 1800 and 1850, that concept came into being, and I have no idea where it came from. This is what I'm stumped on.
Huh. Well, we might have to look that up and unstump you.
Yeah, I would like to know the answer to that, because that's always bugged me.
Well, you're a buggable person.
Yeah, yes.
But I still love you.
I love you too. So
yeah, I'd love to get people over time on here and push buttons and ask crazy questions and see how far we can go, and maybe get a couple people on here that you could debate, and I'll just sit here and laugh.
Well, let's burn bridges and lose friends. That sounds like a great plan.
No. like get an actual YouTube atheist on here.
Gosh. Yeah, we could if you must.
And I'll be the moderator that pushes all the buttons.
There you go.
If you want.
Those people aren't playful though. Like they take it super serious. Like there's no good humor in those debates. Those are pretty angry. Like legitimately angry. Like it's you have to get mean back with them, which stinks, because I would rather just do what we're doing and just kind of, posit ideas and throw stuff back and forth. But you really can't. In my experience, you haven't been able to do that with them because they take the conversation way too seriously. And they have so much contempt for you. Like, they don't realize when you're joking or not. And anything that you use as a joke is just going to instantly be weaponized.
Or it goes over their head and...
Right, yeah.
They shut down their camera and leave.
Have somebody actually done that?
I don't know.
I haven't seen an atheist actually just shut off their camera yet.
No, they usually manifest and start yelling as many profanities as they possibly can.
Have you seen that?
I have seen that.
Have you? I haven't actually seen anybody go that far with it. I've seen them not get jokes, and I've seen them be really pedantic, again,
Oh yeah.
arguing over minute details that don't matter and have nothing to do with the conversation. You know, I've seen them get pedantic over irrelevant points. I've seen them like have jokes fly over their head. I've seen them like completely lose their train of thought and start wailing about the Crusades and every, horrible thing that's happened since, stone tablets were invented.
Like Columbus, how awful a person he actually was.
Well, they say that. I mean, who knows? I mean, I read one book one time that said that, all that stuff they say about Columbus isn't even true, and that history was born out of the French Revolution as a smear campaign against Christianity specifically. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that was a thing here recently. It's like Columbus didn't even land on the US at any point. And I'm like, really?
Well, honestly, I'm going to say, okay, this is going to get me thrown off YouTube again. De Sosa or
we might have to start a rumble.
De Soto. Who was the guy that attacked the Incas, wiped out the Incas? You remember who he was? It was either Cortez or De Soto, and I can't remember which one's which.
He was from Spain, wasn't he?
Yeah. Who was the guy that overthrew the Inca Empire?
That's as far as I know. He's from Spain.
Pizarro. We're both wrong. So, yeah, it was Pizarro. I always thought that those guys were the good guys, because it's like, dude, if you see this culture that's really rich and stuff, but is sacrificing humans, I would feel a moral obligation to overthrow it.
Right.
Like, why would you think that, they were just in it for the gold? Oh, maybe not. Maybe they saw some dude get their heart cut out and freaked out. Actually, Greg has this really cool YouTube channel that he listens to. It's like Voices of the Past. It's literally journal entries from people from way back when. And somebody, I think, described that kind of stuff on there. I have to ask Greg to make sure that that's right. But, if you're somebody who is seeing people literally being sacrificed to a cheering crowd, you might go to the other tribes and go, yeah, you want to get rid of these guys? And of course, the other tribes who are having their fellow tribesmen sacrificed are going to go, yeah.
Well, I mean, they're not going to, because there's like 20 people to these circling tribes.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's how they won. If it was Pizarro, and I think it was. Of course, if I'm wrong, somebody can correct me, and they will. But what they essentially did is they went to the neighboring tribes and basically built a group to fight them. And they also captured the king. That's a whole other thing. They captured the king because there was a dream, and there was this whole other... It's a really cool story that I don't remember at all at the moment. But, But yeah, they incorporated the surrounding tribes because they were enslaved by this empire. And yet, that story is used as this prime example of colonialization. And I'm just like, that's asinine. But these are the kinds of stories that, an atheist would point to make their point. And it's like, dude, you don't even understand the entire situation behind those events. Why would you say they're an attack on the church? Or they disprove God somehow? But, they'll throw that stuff out there when they don't have another point. Even though they're probably just as familiar with the story as I am at present. There was a time I knew it, but not right now.
Or like with me, I know he was from Spain.
Good deduction.
It's like I was taught in history that Columbus did it, and then I heard on TikTok that Columbus didn't do it, and that Columbus was actually this terrible person.
Yeah.
It's like, wait. And then all of a sudden it's all over TikTok how we were misinformed in our history books.
Well, see, that's propaganda and communism and the algorithm setting a narrative. That's not organic.
Yeah.
I hope people start to understand that in time, that these trends on social media, they're not real. They're not real. They're just
Well,
whatever the
that's the
government
thing.
wants to push at a given time.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it's not our government. It's not just our government. And people keep saying government, government. It's governments,
Right.
plural.
Yeah, you're right.
Um, one government is pretty much communists, and the other one is uh, not communists, and they're butting heads. Which, that's what we're actually up against is principalities.
Yeah. That has been one of the interesting things. Tucker Carlson and those guys have been going on about how this whole desire to wipe out humanity and kill people en masse has to be a spiritual malady of some kind. And I agree. I think there's a truth to that. I don't know how you distill that into. I think the thing that bothers me about the conversation on that level, although that is true, is it's very hard to give people a simplistic narrative for them to understand. And I guess this would get, technically conspiracy theories are part of this thing, this podcast. And I think the reason people categorize them as such is because they don't really understand the complete story as to how this stuff even started. Like when you look at a history book, be it true or false, the reason that story is compelling, like for example, the reason the atheist finds the whole using historical examples as a demonstration of God not being real, it's because there's a very clear narrative that these guys tell. There's a story that they recognize.
Yeah.
And they can distill things into a clean narrative. I wish that we could find a clean narrative for everything that's happening today that was true. I wish, like, if I were to try to explain to people what is in essence happening in our world, and this is not 100% accurate. This is me being very simplistic and kind of distilling it. And there's details that are not known, like which came first, chicken or egg type stuff. But, if I was to say it simplistically, I would
the
say,
rooster.
Yeah, there you go. But if I was to say it simplistically, I would say for 50 years, they've been printing, the government, your benevolent overlords, been printing monopoly money. Somewhere along the line, they decided they couldn't pay it back, or they were trying to overthrow the country in the first place, and destroying the currency was part of that. In any case, once it became evident that there was no way to pay off the debt, they started pushing hedonism, because hedonism makes you stupid. If you're sitting there, listening to your impulses and reacting to whatever random thought pops in your head, whatever sexual deviancy or whatever pops in your head, you don't practice being introspective. And so you're always just reacting to things. And so that primes you for when they start going, you need to be mad at these immigrants for jumping the border. You need to be mad at BLM. You need to be mad at the gays. You need to be mad at the white supremacists. And they sit there and they set up what Alex Jones calls this Galilean dialectic. And the reason they do that is once the dollar crashes and you're running around naked in a pickle barrel because you've lost all your stuff, they're going to point at your neighbor and they're going to go, he did it. And because you're a reactionary idiot that listens to your impulses, you're going to believe them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they push hedonism to make you stupid. And then they push blaming all these groups for all these various social woes. So you'll blame those groups, you'll blame your neighbor instead of the government when the dollar crashes. And they basically sell all your stuff because the whole time they've been printing that money, they've been buying your assets and accumulating your wealth and stealing your purchasing power. And so they're going to be the ones selling your stuff to maintain their own wealth and leave you with nothing. And while you have nothing, you're going to go kill your neighbor, never even looking at them. Like, that's a narrative. That's like a simplistic way to look at the problem.
And then you're stuck in jail and relying on the government anyways.
Oh, by the time that happens, there won't be a jail. It'll be Mad Max Thunderdome until some dictator takes over.
You mean the Antichrist?
Oh, we're not that lucky. People keep screaming, this is the end. I'm like, oh no, this is the prelude, boys and girls.
Yeah.
So
we're just getting
nearly lucky enough to get to the end.
we're just getting amped up.
Mm-hmm.
I told that to a person not too long ago. He was on a rant about them jumping the walls and how there's a war about to happen. And I was like, you know what? It's not going to be a physical war. It's going to be a war that nobody's ready for. It's going to be 100% spiritual. And he looked at me like I needed to be put in a room with four white walls.
Well, fundamentally, everything's spiritual. When you get right down to it, when you distill it, I don't know if people see it that way in some sort of ultimate sense.
Well, that's where I was going with this.
Yeah.
This guy was a Christian, the typical Christian goes to church on Sunday, whatever, and I couldn't even talk to him about supernatural or spiritual things. He didn't believe me. He thought I was insane for just saying that.
He's probably a cessationist, yeah.
Yeah. No, he goes to one of the big churches in Texas. What's it called? Joel Osteen.
Okay, Osteen's thing, yeah.
And it's just like, okay. I won't talk to you about this then, because I'm crazy. But most people don't believe in what they don't understand. And most people nowadays don't even recognize the supernatural or spiritual aspect at all.
Right.
And that's why they're going the atheist route or whatever else you want to say.
I don't think they're going to the atheist route as much as they used to, though. I think it's rebounding.
No, it's kind of like a agnostic or new age or anything else.
I don't know about that. I think there is a turn back towards God.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't say that there's a return to denominational religions, Baptist, Methodist, etc. I think that's dying, and in my opinion, it should die. But there is a return to God. There's an attempt to find mere Christianity. I personally am happy about it, but also a little worried about it because I do feel like the once saved, always saved, and saved by grace through faith concept is being lost. And there is this return to the authority of the church, to the authority of, say, there's a big uptick in Greek Orthodox, a big uptick in Catholics. And, I love Catholics. I love teasing Catholics. Jess was a Catholic, I have a lot of sympathy for Catholics. But,
me too.
Yeah, I mean, I like Catholics, but if you lose once saved, always saved, and you lose saved by grace through faith, I mean, that God's unfailing love and infinite mercy is the core of Christianity. That idea that you are loved unconditionally by somebody, and not every relationship in your life is totally based on merit, is very important. And I feel like I am worried that that's going to get lost in this new return to Christianity, because what's happening is what my wife, Jess, calls, an overcorrection. People are seeing that this hedonism doesn't work. They're wanting marriages, they're wanting traditional relationships, they're wanting tradition. But in the name of grabbing tradition, they're running to the most traditional institutions possible.
Yeah.
Which in some ways is good, but a tradition is only as valuable as its conformity to the Word of God. So in other ways, it's bad.
I recently went to a church. Well, I mean, it wasn't recent, but it was 4 or 5 months ago. And I was like, I'm going to get back into church just to see. And sure enough, the pastor was a new young pastor our age.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much everybody else in there was elderly. And the first, 6 to 7 pews on both sides of the sanctuary were completely empty. except for the pastor's kids. And I'm like, that's not okay.
No, it's not. But
And like these people were sitting shoulder to shoulder in the very back, as
yeah,
far back as they could get. And you got this new pastor our age teaching pretty much the same thing that we grew up on, but then he got into more spiritual stuff. And I looked behind me and I was like, that's what makes them uncomfortable,
the new stuff.
is the spiritual stuff.
Ah,
When you get into the spiritual side of things, and you
can you
start,
give me an example of what you're referring to?
you know how you go to a Baptist church and they've always made fun of Baptists for sitting in the back pew.
Yeah.
It's like that. Is a typical Baptist church.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, what kind of spiritual stuff was he talking about that made these people uncomfortable?
Um, what was he talking about? So he was talking about, it was just a typical story. I think it was in Job. I think it might have been Job. He's talking about Job. And then at close to the end of his sermon, he started talking about deliverance and how you get supernaturally delivered from your demons
Okay,
and
so
stuff.
that's is that, I might be wrong, is that a Pentecostal concept, or is that it's not a Baptist concept?
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Deliverance can be any denomination's concept. It just depends
Well,
on.
they use Christianese and use the word different ways, but there's certain denominations that mean like a type of exorcism. There's others that mean like a spiritual liberation of some kind. There's others that are just like, oh, the Almighty gave you a check in the mail when you needed money. It just depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah. Well, it was the deliverance of, you have demons around you, right? That
Okay,
are
so
going to
he was going
cause
more in the like,
problems for you, like what Job had, you
right.
know. Um,
So not so
you
much
know,
exorcism, but maybe intercession type of thing.
well, this is a light example. If I watch a Harry Potter movie,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get some sort of oppressed feeling
So this is just an
because,
example, though, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
because I watched a witchcraft movie,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that was a way for a demonic presence to enter into my life. Not enter me, just to become a part of
Torment
my
you.
life.
Torment you.
Torment
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
in my head,
So
whatever.
I could be wrong, and if somebody actually listens to this who knows, correct me. But I think that's intercession, because
Intercession.
it's not an exorcism, because you're not getting a demon out of you, but it's to fight demonic oppression,
Right.
like the influence of demonic entities in your life.
It's a type of deliverance.
Yeah.
But anyways, he started in on that, and he didn't talk about it for very long. But I noticed that's what made everybody uncomfortable. And it's like, that's why, this is just my personal opinion, what I've seen.
Yeah.
That's why so many people hate Christianity so much, is because a lot of Christians will put them down the moment they bring up their side of things.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen
If if an atheist says, "I'm my own God," How does that make you feel as a Christian? You
I just
know?
laugh at him and go, "Good luck," but
Exactly.
just
So this is a
have fun with
person
that.
who's mentally been attacked at some point,
Mm.
probably. Or they may be totally mentally functionally fine, but at some point in their life they have been attacked. Um, doesn't always have to be, they could be fine, but anyways, uh, sorry, I'm getting tired.
No, you're all right. We can call it good if you want to call it good. We've been going for about 2.5 hours or something like that.
Jeez, it doesn't feel like that.
No, there's because as you desired, this podcast had no focus, and so we just rambled. So
It was supposed to be on Sasquatch.
yes, it was. That was the ideal.
Well, maybe we could split it up into like 4 episodes.
Yeah,
Uh,
you make those decisions on that. What you want to do.
but this is your podcast, your idea.
I don't think. Well, it doesn't matter.
It
If this
doesn't
was
matter.
my podcast. All right. We
We'd
should
have fallen
probably go
asleep
ahead and
again.
wrap it up, and then we'll talk about the direction of the podcast when we're done. So, Trevor, do you have any final thoughts? Or, I'm sorry, Turtle. Do you have any final thoughts?
Tacos.
Tacos. You are tired. Do you even eat tacos?
I love
You
tacos.
love tacos? I hate them. Anyway,
Just not the crunchy kind. Only soft tacos.
we're ending the podcast.
Oh,
Mm,
all right.
right.
Good
So
night.
say goodbye to the audience who's endured this.
We have an audience?
No, hopefully not. Not for a while. Not until we get this ironed out. Okay.
Well, it was a rough draft. There we go.
That's a good example. A rough draft. A rough draft. We will get better with practice, ladies and gentlemen. I promise. Okay.
Wait,
yes.
what's a lady and what's a gentleman?
Those
Oh
are
wait, we're
words-
ending. We're ending.
Yes.
Sorry.
Those are words of the day you can look up later.
Okay.
And you can add the SpongeBob rainbow to them and it'll be fine.
Oh,
Yeah. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the Try F podcast. We tried to have a podcast. We'll get better with time.
and we effed it up. Oh, I love that.
Oh, that was a pun. And there you go. There you go. See,
We-
we just found out the end tagline. We effed
we-
it up.
We tried to podcast and we effed it up.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, I'm Gary Varner. This is the Turtle Chief.
I'm Turtle Chief.
We'll talk to you later. Adios.